Hello everyone, my name is Lowko, and welcome to a best of 3 series of top level StarCraft 2. I'm very excited for this one because spawning right here in the bottom right hand corner, playing with the red Terran pieces, we have none other than Maru. Widely considered to be the most successful Terran player of all time, and if it wasn't for Cyril, I think this man would probably be considered the greatest Zerg that we've ever had in SC2. We're looking at none other than Rogue's main hatchery. Now, about a week ago, these two played a phenomenal series in the RSL. A couple days later, they played this particular best of 3 in the GSL. So it's a very different tournament. The format is remarkably similar. Everything is organized over in Korea, but the GSL and the RSL have very different tournament organizers. And in general, it is run a little differently too, but it is ironic, I suppose, that every tournament has to end with SL if you, are situated in Korea. Now, these two, they played a phenomenal series last week, and I'm hoping, if this series is even like 50% as good, I'm hoping that, we're once more in for some fireworks. There were some very spicy games involved, and I'm thinking that these two certainly have it fresh in their minds. They may very well be ready for some deeper macro games once more. Or maybe some cheeky cheeses, I don't know. That's the thing that's so difficult about both of these players. Both Rogue and Maru are more than happy to cheese if they need to. They can do whatever they please, right? They have phenomenal macro, really good micro, their late game is insane, but they're not afraid to go for like a Nidus all-in or a proxy barracks or some, I don't know, blue flame Hellion rush. There really are a million and one ways to open in StarCraft. And while maybe some of the European players are a bit more predictable, with Rogue and Maru, you never really know what you're going to get. For the time being though, it's a reasonably normal start. Ish, sort of. The second depot is a little bit funky at this part in the game, but we are going to start off with a whole load of Reapers. Generally, you go 3 to 5 Reapers. It's especially good if Zerg decides to go for a really fast third hatch. Now, this is not the fastest possible third hatch. There is a very common build that we see from Zerg players where they pull out of gas a little bit earlier and then they start the third hatchery before the Reaper can even arrive. This is Rogue opening up with Metabolic Boost, pulling only a single drone out of gas, weirdly enough, and then not really building the third base at all. So if you're now opening up, well, triple Reaper against a 2-base Zerg, are you even still in a decent spot as Terran? Because this is costly. Like, this delays the command center over here for quite a long time. It delays the factory and everything else as well for a while, and Rogue hasn't really taken any damage at all. The early game in StarCraft 2 is so tight that any mistake can be really costly. Good grenade over there, though. It's going to buy some time. A lot of Zerglings already waiting inside of the main base. Rogue trying to micro, but until Metabolic Boost is done, there's just not a whole lot he can do. Drone is ultimately thinking, at the very least considering, getting promoted into a hatch. Yeah, Maru's gonna go home now because he knows that link speed is on the horizon. Generally 3.5 minutes in is when that upgrade is done. So Rogue is just gonna take an expansion at a bit of a delayed moment instead. We do have a lair though, already starting up here, because we did of course leave a second drone in gas. Normally you either pull all the drones out or you leave one in. Pulling only a single worker out is a little bit funky, although I say that, we saw the same as well from Shin not too long ago. Shin likewise also a big fan of these type of 2-base builds, where he pulls a single drone out of gas and then gets a really quick lair off of 3 queens. So this is, I guess what's so cool about this for Zerg is that you suddenly find yourself with so many mid-game options, right? So you can go Roach all-in, Nidus all-in, Mutas, Quick Hive, like there's about a dozen viable choices right now. Weirdly enough though, with this type of build, right? Even though we see that first expansion being quite slow for Terran, the third base is now significantly quicker. This is an orbital command already, well, about halfway done, as the third hatch isn't even finished yet. So even though, yeah, you sacrifice your early game economy a little bit because you open up with Reapers, and obviously it slows down the CC in the factory, then if you successfully delay your opponent's third some more, you may end up faster on your own third base instead. And suddenly you arrive in this like weird unexplored territory just a few minutes really into the game, where, yeah, we've seen a million and one games of StarCraft 2, but This is just such an odd setup that we don't really come across all too often. Roachborn, by the way, got cancelled. Apparently, we decided to get rid of it. Few lost resources there. And they've been traded out for a Spire right now together with a Baneling Nest. Okay. Is there enough, though, here for Rogue to really defend against this? We have 16 Zerglings about to pop out of their cocoons. Yeah, it's not quite enough defense here for the South Korean Zerg player just yet. Obviously, this is where the roaches would have been incredibly handy. I'm liking this spot quite a lot here for Maru, but very soon, as we now have a Banshee joining in too, very soon we're gonna see the Zerg player grab map control with the Mutalisks. Spire is now fully erected inside of the natural expansion. Sorry. Bio transition in the meantime coming up. Double upgrades here as well, of course, for Maru, which is nice. He snipes the Changeling here. Rogue has been saving up gas, but he really doesn't have a whole lot of minerals available because he's been dumping so much of it into those Zerglings. This is a nice scout here for Maru. He's gonna see the Spire. Yeah. And that's gonna give him a lot of time here to prepare. He's not really too worried about it yet. Apparently, he decides to mostly just sack that unit. I guess it's pretty much always going to die to the mutas anyways. May as well get an extra drone or two. Third command center was done for a while already. Maru, though, a little afraid of a potential, say, like a roach attack, so he didn't quite land it on the low ground yet. Now, though, the little flippy flappies are just about done. Rogue is going to be able to control the map for the time being, but we already have Stimpack finished here for Maru, and obviously he sees these guys coming in from a mile away. So we have missile turrets coming up. Yep, there's one in the natural, one in the main, and then also one over at the third base right now. Maru not rushing it out. Still though, missile turrets alone are not gonna cut it. You're also gonna need your Marines in the right position at the right time. Here's a bit of a slow combat shield follow-up for Maru. Rogue, of course, knows that Stimpack is done. Baneling speed is going to be finished as well within about 30 seconds. One siege tank kill is actually big. Yep. A potential Baneling run by here is now suddenly a viable choice. Not a single Muta has actually died yet. I wouldn't mind actually seeing Rogue maybe morph in a round of Banes and hope for a bit of a connection. Another siege tank here, not quite in the correct position. Zerglings get a wraparound. Marines get picked up in the meantime, though, by those Medivacs. Muta's trying their absolute best to just save whatever they can, but the Medivac's really the MVP in this particular battle. Now the Zerglings get into the main base too. Armory gets delayed for a while, but I mean, 1-1 is done for the Terran already, whereas we don't even have Evo chambers yet here for Rogue. Rogue is droning though. No fourth hatchery yet for the Zerg player either. Gets another siege tank though for his troubles, potentially? Nah, it's gonna be safe for now. Even though I like this aggression here for Rogue, what has me a little bit worried is the upgrade situation. Getting the engineering base here is decent, but there's no upgrades started in it just yet. And of course, at this point, the odds of Rogue having clicked on one of those Marines is pretty big. He now knows that his opponent already has 1-1 done. Banelings? Banelings? No, not quite. They're Zerglings. Man, if these two Lings would have been Banes. Well, Maru was caught off guard by it. He's very focused on this big attack that he's currently carving straight through the middle. Let's see, where do we go? Whoa, that's a big siege over here, man. On creep. Nice volley right there with the Mutas, and there's actually 21 Mutas. There's now more Mutas than there are Zerglings. Banelings, though, are going to be finishing here in just a moment. That's why the Mutas really want to be grabbing a few kills. A bunch of SCVs were brought across the map too, apparently, to help repair the tanks back up. Dude, there's so many Mutas now, they can actually just be killed. Like the Mutas, or the Marines rather, can be killed by Mutas. We have missile turrets added into the mix too. Rogue sees it, decides to commit. Siege tanks do fall, but the missile turrets are so powerful. 2-2 fires up in the meantime here for Maru. Look at this, man. We have proxy missile turrets. Normally a little bit of a weird thing to do. Yeah. The tricky thing now, though, for Terran is that without siege tanks, you can't really put on that much pressure. Banelings alone, yeah, I don't think they're quite gonna cut it. We need to see way more. Rogue decides to evacuate the third hatch. Mining will continue, though, down on that low ground. There's a lot of creep available, man. Normally, I wouldn't recommend going out onto the map like this with that many Marines on creep, but Maru sees an opportunity, and he decides to strike while the iron is hot. We have a small pocket of Banelings over here on the right. They really need to kill a lot, though. Natural expansion goes down as well. Move commanding right here from Maru is the last thing we need. Most of the banelings don't really quite get that much done. Muta count is still big, and I think there's enough here with the drones especially joining in to indeed get rid of most of the troops. Now we have some Widow Mines, though, joining as well, and I think the Widow Mines are genius. Yeah, Maru forced to play a very finicky, a very aggressive game, but I think he's navigating all of this beautifully. 2-2 is gonna be done now. That fight started when these upgrades began as well. With the next engagement, we're gonna have 2-2 done, I believe, and that will be a very significant power spike. Because again, Rogue has not really gone for any Evo Chamber upgrades himself. He did go for 2 Evolution Chambers, but he never started anything in them because he's been under so much pressure. I think keeping on this pressure is important, though. Maru should not be sitting back here. Banelings? Yeah, you're still fighting against the Zerg on creep. Okay, nice splitty right there at the end. No detection anymore. Gonna need another Overseer. There it is. You really want to get Overlord speed as well right now as the Zerg player, just to make all of this a little easier. But Rogue is really strapped for resources. I love the addition of the Thor as well, by the way. Very, very useful. Looks like we have an all-army hotkey Stimpak, as Maru is not just trying to fight, he's also trying to reinforce this ASAP. Still, though, he's respecting the Banes. He's scanning ahead. He knows how risky it can be to suddenly walk into a bunch of Banelings. But I think that is hatchery number 3 just about to fall. And with it, Rogue's economy has been knocked back to the Stone Age. Yeah, masterfully played right here by Maru. GG indeed gets called. It is the Terran who wins game number 1. Beautiful gameplay. That takes us to the second map in this best of 3, which will take place on 10,000 feet. And it looks like, yet again, we will be going for the low ground wall off. Okay. See, one of the main downsides when you open up Quick Lair and you open up Quick Mutas is that all of your gas naturally goes to more Mutas. So you have to cut Muta production at some point to go for Evo Chamber upgrades. And even though StarCraft 2 has been around for 16 years or so, no Zerg has really come up with the perfect solution. Because if you go for the double Evo Chamber upgrades before you start up Muta production, you end up not having a lot of gas available for Mutas. And that initial influx of Mutas usually deals a lot of damage. You're basically like 3 Mutalisks down if you decide to go for the upgrades early. It's the same with Baneling speed. Like, you want to get Baneling speed nice and quick, and obviously the upgrade is reasonably priced these days. It's not as expensive as it used to be. Same for the cost of a Spire. But there's still a lot of gas spending that Zerg has to do in the earlier stages of a Mutaling Bane opener, where sometimes if you're under a lot of pressure, like Rogue was in the previous game, you just never really find that moment to go for the Evo Chamber upgrades. And then, well, like 10 minutes in, Terran finishes up 2-2 because their upgrading in engineering base is just a little bit smoother, since Marines only cost minerals, obviously, and the gas upgrades, I mean, that's the main bottleneck for Zerg at the very least. Yeah, when Terran finishes 2-2 and you have 0-0 Zerg, you just get utterly destroyed. You're gonna have to get some banger Baneling hits, literally, for that to still work out. Now, this is a bit of a different start now here for Maru, though, because even though he goes for the low ground really early on, yeah, just skipping the main base altogether for now, not even a wall over here. We're gonna go barracks into factory this time, and then a second supply depot too. There we go. Maru walling correctly. Lucky for him, his pylons, I guess, can raise and lower. So it's a little bit easier, maybe, to make a complete wall. The technology of the door is not something that Zerg players and Protoss have figured out yet. Especially for Protoss, man. They may be very high-tech. But doors are just one step too far. They've never figured it out. Oh. Cheeky, cheeky. Maru snuck around the side again. He does get a worker kill. Honestly, I think this is a big deal, right? I don't want to oversell a single worker loss this stage in the game, but mentally speaking, it's already very annoying. Now we're going to see a Zergling also achieve nothing. A little bit of lost mining time, I suppose. Yeah, Reaper had to go back home. I don't think the Zerglings are going to kill an SCV, will they? Oh, they do. All right. Well, an eye for an eye. A worker for a worker. and 2 Zerglings. Maru's opening up right now, though, with much quicker Hellions. Right, in the previous game, Hellions were added into the mix, but this is a much more conventional timing on it. Overlord positioning here for Rogue is curious. This is one of the things that happens when a map is around for a while. The most logical thing is to just send those bad boys straight across the map and maybe hang out over here on the high ground, for example, and then usually the follow-up is to hide over here in the little triangle space on 10,000 feet. This time around, Rogue has gone for the next step, apparently. Ooh, in the Overlord meta as he moves to the left. In the meantime, though, this is a problem for Rogue. In the meantime, the Terran units just drove into the mineral line. Now, lucky here for the Zerg. Wait a second, those slow Zerglings spawned with a surround. That is the Warcraft 3 player's wet dream right there. Those weren't even speedlings yet. Huh. By the way, yet again, similar to what Shin has been doing lately, Rogue has decided to not go for a quick third hatch and prioritize the lair. I'm assuming we're gonna build a third. Okay, yeah, eventually it does go down. What's tricky here for Maru is that 10,000 feet actually has 3 third base options, and he never checked the location on the right. That's what he's doing right now. Yeah, he's gotta check this while simultaneously going for a drop. Medevacs, though, will indeed not achieve much this time around. Well, I say that. Really, wait a second. Ooh. Yeah, I mean, I don't really like that too much, though, for the Terran. Yeah. 4 drones. 4 drones is nice, but 4 drones for a medevac, and then on top of that, 3 Hellions? Medevac is real expensive. Especially at this stage in the game. Oh, that's why we're YOLOing it in. Woo, we're playing mech. Rogue is gonna get the instant scout, though. You will have seen the additional factory production, and an additional one right now at the front as well. Maru apparently deems that the medevac is not necessary while playing Terran mech. I don't really know if I agree. But it is going to put him at a much more passive state in the game now. So I guess he just wanted to maximize damage, and then he went from there. Wait, now we're YOLOing in a Liberator too? What? This isn't smart, Maru. Now we lost a Liberator for 2 drones. First we lose a medevac and 3 Hellions for just a handful of workers, and now a Liberator too? See, Terran at this stage in the game is pretty much unbreakable. Like, this is not really a position that Zerg can open up. By the time that Terran will have siege tanks out, Zerg is not going to be able to do much. Roaches are going to test the waters. I mean, I'd like to be proven wrong. Wait a second. We're going to go Roach speed here. +1 is on the back of this. Rogue apparently believes he can maybe fight this. But I mean, there will at least be 2 tanks by the time he gets there. Anyhow, you don't really need the Liberator, is my point. You don't really need the medevac. But it's hardly the perfect way of playing it out. A couple Widow Mines here is real nice. These add-ons are also exposed. Siege tanks haven't yet spawned. Yeah, and you know what? We're actually just gonna go in. Rogue can outrange a lot of these units with the corrosive biles. Ravagers will always spawn at full HP, so this is fine. Just a little bit of damage taken. Maru decides to back up with the siege tanks. Wait a second, Rogue is actually almost going all in into this. I mean, it's an infestation pit on the back of this, but he's making a lot of units. Scan at the bottom of the map to reveal the eco over at the third. Maru will have noticed, of course, that it's about, well, maybe 3/4 of the way saturated. But not fully. No 4th hatchery until just now either. Okay, siege tank numbers, though, are nice. There is a 3rd factory in the back with some add-ons on it, with some tech labs on it, so that makes it a bit easier here for Maru to ultimately stabilize. Yeah. Still, Maru wants to secure this 3rd. One of his factories is burning. Rogue now droning on the back of all of this. He decides to commit. Siege tank is gonna get biled down for certain. Huh. It's almost like a contain, right? It's so funky because these units are extremely slow. Like, they're not really gonna be able to get the job done as far as winning the game goes. And they're constantly taking shots from the tanks as well, but it works out here. Factory number 4 and 5. Swarm hosts! Oh, dude, I'm glad I'm casting this series. What is it with Maru and Rogue, man? It keeps delivering. They've played some bangers this year. You'd love to see it. They're just so aggressive. Okay, Hellions trying to see if they can potentially get a run by, but I mean, there's so much creep. There's overlords all over the map. Rogue will see this sort of thing coming in from a mile away. So, with Swarm Hosts need to really deal damage with the first wave. Usually, the first wave of the Swarm Hosts is where that momentum kicks in. So, not getting the Hellions to see is a big deal here for Rogue. This isn't just about pushing away the Hellions and preventing them from dealing damage. Ooh, okay, he walks into the scan. It's also about, well, keeping those Swarm Hosts hidden for as long as possible. I think sending the Locust, though, across the crevice is what we're looking for. Now that all of the hosts have arrived, yup, we're sending in a Locust wave. While the siege tanks are preoccupied, though, the Roach Ravager army can also move in, and that's exactly what we decide to do. Keep in mind that Locust damage is extremely high. This is absolute cinema. GG gets called. Maru cannot hold. Okay. And that means it all comes down to this. Final game in this best of 3 takes place on the Old Republic. Low ground war yet again? Huh. I think so. It's interesting how the rules of Terran versus Zerg are subtly changing over time. Like if you zoom out, right? If you think back over like the last 10 years of Zerg versus Terran. It's always been the Terran player trying to slow down the Zerg economy. And in a lot of games, that's still the case. But because of the larva mechanic, Zerg can make a lot of workers real fast. And Terrans have been trying to prevent that. Then over the last bunch of years, Terrans have figured out that they can open up blind triple command center with a Hellion Banshee opener reliably every single time, assuming your micro is good. And you can get away with a lot of stuff. You don't really need to deal a lot of eco damage. So how did Zergs originally respond to that build? They played even greedier. They would make more queens and basically not produce any tech, any units until they had a lot of saturation on their mineral lines, right? Because the larva mechanic is still real strong. In these games, though, it's now consistently Maru getting a bigger early game economy and Rogue sacrificing early game economy for quick tech. So in the past, it was the Zerg player being the one that took the beating in the early game. Now it's the Terran player who is getting that same treatment. I don't really know exactly if this is something we're gonna see Zerg players double down on in the next couple years. This is one of the beautiful things about StarCraft. Like, the game is still constantly developing, even if we don't get a ton of balance changes, even if the maps are mostly similar. The strategies are constantly evolving. And this seems to be, just the latest step in the meta. I don't even really know if it's here to stay, though, but I'm really enjoying what the Korean Zergs have been up to lately. So, 2 drones in gas is weird. Third drone is going to join in just a moment, though. Okay, I was going to say, I'm getting a little ahead of myself. We're adding a third drone here at this point in time. My main question is, how many does he pull out of gas when he gets up to 100? So the norm has always been to either pull 2 out of gas right now at 60 to go for a really quick third, or to pull like 2 to 3 out at 100. Rogue and Shin lately have been pulling 1 drone out at 100. Ooh, yet again, man, a drone kill. That's sloppy. Okay. It's again, by the way, a triple Reaper opener. Rogue has not spent any of his gas now. Wait a second, what are we doing, Rogue? He just prioritized 2 more queens. So that's where the minerals and, all of the resources have gone to. He's prioritizing... He's prioritizing queen production here. Then he's spending larva. And then eventually we'll get to some sort of gas spending. The real defense, of course, against Reapers, though, is link speed. And we haven't fired up that upgrade at all. Oh, it's lair. It's a lair really quickly in the natural. He's trying to hide this from the Reapers, and I think he will successfully do that. But that is 4 drones dying here in total. Wait, didn't we just see a second Reaper die? Am I losing my mind? Yeah, we definitely just saw a second Reaper die. For some reason, the unit's lost tap is sometimes a little bit buggy. I'm not sure why. Anyway, now we go into metabolic boost. So this is exactly what I was trying to say. In the meantime, we have a third command center like 3/4 of the way done. Zerg doesn't even have a third hatch started yet. Ooh, okay. Reaper Scout will move in. Maru wants to see if there's a lair. No lair over here. Normally you make the lair in the main base. I think he's gonna get a scout off though, and this is big. This is real big. So what does Maru see? Oh, it gets one more drone. Jeez. That's too many workers, Rogue. Like, we're getting fancy here, but 5 drones is too many drones lost. What does he see? He saw the lair, and he saw, maybe even more importantly, also that there were no gases taken in the natural. So you can already pretty much scratch any sort of, like, Muta play off the list. You could also sort of scratch any roach-based play, though, off the list, because we didn't see any roaches either. Quick Hydra, then, has been gaining popularity lately, but it's by no means a very common strat. I'm guessing this is gonna be Hydras with speed and ranged, and then +1 carapace? Okay, and now we're droning. I don't know. I'm very conflicted about it. I like it. It's entertaining. I am just not sure if it's good. 5-minute Overseer Scout, by the way, yet again here for Rogue. This is one of the really nice things that Zergs do get out of this quick lair style. You can basically guarantee that you figure out exactly what Terran's going for. So in this instance, I mean, you didn't see precisely everything, but the double engineering bay is a clear giveaway that it's going to be a bio follow-up. He already knows that it's a triple command center opener based on the timings of the things that he's seen. And with double NG bay, you're not going to make the switch on over to mech. Now, by the way, the larva mechanic is being used as Rogue is powering out saturation on this third base. But yet again, it seems like we're gonna wait at like late 50s worth of workers. Just like he did in the previous games, we're now just gonna go straight again into unit production. So normal game, Zerg would have like 8 queens done and 3 bases saturated at this point. Now we're like playing Hydras, we have 4 queens and we have like 2.5 bases saturated. Is this better? Maybe. But I don't know. Probably not. There's a chance it is, though. I can't tell. I feel like if Terran plays really well, this has to be an advantage for Maru, right? Just because this is a tried and true build here for the Terran. We've seen this a million times before in all of its different variations. And I think if Maru just chills and plays this game out slowly, he's gonna be okay. The problem is that we're already thinking about a hive here for the Zerg. So this could be like a pre-7-minute hive. Lurker Den is also a very viable choice, and considering here we seem to be aiming at a 4th hatchery already. Yeah, that may just be what we have going. Maru may have spotted the drone. Not exactly sure. You do really need 8 gases in order to play Lurkers reliably. Like 7-8 gases. Kind of the bare minimum. So I'm assuming that's the goal. Second Evo chamber, though, is already done. Armory here at the correct time. That's going to allow Maru to swiftly transition into 2-2. Here's the Zerg push, though. At least he's thinking about it. Oh, it's not actually into a hive. Wait a second. We're building 4 infestors instead. Now Lurker Den? But no hive. I guess that's where the next gas is going. Lair tech Lurkers. Nah, we are going hive, but it's a weird timing. Normally you go hive first and then Lurker Den. It's like we've learned the rules after a decade and a half of practice, and then we decided, you know what? Screw them all. I don't care about the rules anymore. Fungal! Fungal! Oh! Oh my god! Well, that's the end. That's the end of this army. Possibly the game, man. That's so much damage. Wow. Still, this is a Terran army that needs to be respected, but imagine this with like another big clump of Marines. My god, that was so many Marines dying there in just a matter of seconds. Oh, I actually think Maru here going for this attack with like an extra 20 Marines may have been game ending. Now all of a sudden, I'm not so sure anymore. We have another fungal potential. Hydra's being split here to negate as much of the splash as possible. Chain funneling here as well onto the Medivacs. Yeah, still though, the siege tanks are shelling away at whatever they can hit. Maru is actually committing to this fight, which really impresses me. I think it would be so much more tempting to just go home, but he knows that this 4th base also creates an opportunity to go Lurkers, and he would much prefer not playing against that. Big kill right here for Maru. Yeah, he may have been like 25 Marines down, but he still has enough troops here to actually continue the engagement. Yeah, now imagine this fight if that fungal didn't go off earlier. I mean, Maru still seems to be able to go through all of this really well. Drones are pulled away. Never a good sign for a Zerg. Siege tanks, I think they should be rerouted onto the drones, man. Just snipe as many of those bad boys as you can. Okay, this is now turning into a marine meat grinder. And while the fungal growths are nice, that is not quite enough there for the Zerg player to get rid of the Terran army with. I mean, brilliant series of StarCraft yet again. I feel like the key in this final game, though, is Maru saying, okay, I just lost my army. Let's still go and attack. That feels really counterintuitive, but it was 100% the key. If he would have gone back home, he would have waited for like a minute or so, maybe waited until like 2-2 is done, which was finishing right at the end of this fight. He would have been playing against Lurkers. And Marines against Lurkers, we've seen that before. That never goes well for Terran. So he knew where this game was headed. He decided, but even like 25 Marines less, it was still going to be playable. And I think he controlled it really well. GG.